All right, well, here we are again, back at Burns Brothers Performance. We've got another new project car to talk about.
Yes, we do.
Different one this time. Not a 5 through 7.
No, but I feel like I'm the Impala Bel Air 210 guy these days. Where's all the Chevelles and Camaros at?
Right, yeah, no more Camaros or Chevelles. Well, yeah, there's some around here. But no, so we'll take you through this car. We'll talk about this project. This is a very special car, very special family. This car is owned by Jim Livingston, and his daughter Cherie contacted George and going to start to do a restoration on this thing. I've got some pretty cool videos, and we got from George Adams, we got some pictures, and so we'll insert those a little bit later, so definitely stay to the end. You're going to see some cool stuff.
Yeah, there's actually some interview stuff with Jim that Cherie did, so that'll be in there too. So yeah, you definitely want to stick around for that.
Yeah, Jim is a local legend, so he has owned Woodburn Drag Strip around here for a long time. He passed it down a few years ago and he retired. You still see him at the track all the time. He gets on the mic, he's running around his golf cart. Jim's kind of a big deal around here if you're a drag racer. So he's run that track for a really long time. And so this, like I say, very special car, very special guy. If you're a drag race fan from around here, the West Coast, Jim's been a big, big deal. So,
yeah. Yeah, so you want me to start talking about how...
how'd this get started?
How we came about. So
wait.
Most important part.
It's Sunday night, but you know.
I am sporting a DeLoney V8 beer koozie.
Please like, subscribe, share, tell all your friends.
DeLoney V8. So, last Saturday, I received a message from Cherie to give her a call. So I called her, and she brought up this 58 Bel Air that Jim owned. I believe he's owned it for 30 years, right around that era. She said that it was something that Jim wanted to get started, get it painted. They're not looking for a full frame off restoration, but they are looking for a really nice driver, something they can cruise down to the burger joint, or get some ice cream cones, or that type of thing. So she actually gave me Jim's phone number, and I called Jim and talked to him on the phone, and it was really cool. I've never really talked to Jim in that kind of setting before. It's always been drag strip related, or parking or paying at the gate, or whatever. So it was kind of fun to listen to him talk about something that was a passion of his besides just the drag strip. Anyway, so we talked about the car, and he opened up about some of the things that he'd like to see on the car. As far as trim delete, emblem delete, engine stuff, and transmission stuff, and his flipper hubcaps he wants, stuff like that.
Well, so you get, when he's on the mic at the track, you get a sense of the fact that he is a car guy. He knows, especially the older cars, right? He knows the race cars and the dragsters and the owners and the drivers and all that. But he definitely knows the old classics.
Oh yeah. So it was pretty cool to talk to him and hear that. So on Sunday, after work, I actually drove up to his house there, and the car was out back in the barn there. And so I sat down with him and talked to him. He gave me a list of stuff that he wanted done on the car, and then I went out and looked at the car with Joey and Cherie, and the car, I was amazed actually how nice it is, really. And then went back in the house and talked it over with them, and the next day it showed up at my house, and so yeah, we're gonna go through kind of the details on this car. This is a little bit of a different build for me. I think it's gonna be fun. I think it's gonna be a challenge like the rest, but that's the fun part about it. It's always cool, but there's gonna be a lot of hands involved in this car, so it's gonna be kind of fun to see this one kind of come together for Jim.
Cool. So we will do the usual walk around. We'll insert some of those videos of Jim, so stick around for those.
Yeah.
He is Maui Jim right now. He is over in Hawaii, spending his winter over there. So, it'll be good.
I heard it was raining today.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, it's still pretty nice rain over there, I think.
Yeah.
But so we'll take you around the car. Stick around to the end. It'll be good.
I will also add that, so every morning, Jim and Cherie, they actually talked the car over, and the details that he would like over there over coffee. And then a couple hours later, Cherie gets a hold of me, calls me or texts me or whatever, and we chat, and it's just kind of fun. And then after I get off the phone with her, she'll send messages and just say how cool this is of an experience. And she's like, wow, I never realized how fun it is to build a car. She's really getting into it with Jim, and it's really cool to see that.
Well, so you've already blown it apart to some degree, so you're sending them progress pics?
Oh yeah. Nice. So he's seen pictures of where it's at now, and it's a little different than it was when it got dropped off. So.
Oh yeah. In only a few days' time.
Yeah, it's progressing. So he's getting excited, which is awesome.
Nice.
So.
We're used to progress here at Guns Brothers Performance.
Yeah.
So
we're used to you here. We might as well just build you a little bungalow out back, for as much as you're down here.
Sounds good. Rent free. All right, we are back, and we're going to do a walk around of this fine '58 Chevy.
And actually, it is fine. It's so this is a '58 Bel Air hardtop. I never knew anything about '58s before last Sunday. I'll be honest, and I learned a lot. I actually talked to my buddy Larry Majors, who has a '58 Impala, and so there's a lot of things that are different between the body styles. Basically, from the fenders forward is all the same on '58, basically. But anyway, so this car is really solid. It had a partial quarter panel replacement at one time, but other than that, it appears to be all original sheet metal, except for this fender's been changed. But that looks like it's got original paint on it still, which is nice to see what you're working with. When I got it, it still had the bumpers on it. The trim was on it for the most part. There was a couple pieces that were pulled off. And it was basically intact. The engine was in it. It's, I believe it's a factory 348 car. I don't know how to tell that. And it was automatic at one time as somebody was converting it over to a 3-speed. The car was actually off the frame at one point. The frame's all painted. The bottom of the car is really nice, but it's just not painted. It's got undercoating on it.
I was going to say, if we have any '58 Chevy experts and you know how to tell an original 348 car,
right?
Bleep bloop in the comments, as they say.
I know it's a V8 car. I mean, I'm smart.
So they put 280. They put 283s in these as well.
I believe it would have been a 283.
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah. In those years, 265 or a 283.
Would they still have the 265 58? I don't know. Jim will probably tell us.
I was going to say Jim will tell us, or maybe Fred. If Fred watches this, he'll tell us.
Or Wes Meckel, I'm sure he would know. But yeah, so anyway, I started stripping it down, and I've actually been talking to Jim about the trim he wants to keep on the car, the trim he wants to take off the car. And basically, we're going to keep everything on the car. It has the spears right here. This fender had it. This one didn't because it was changed. I think this is off of this is a Biscayne fender, but I don't know that for sure. Oh, okay. I didn't notice that. So yeah, you can see how they don't. Different. So these holes are in the same spot.
Right, but you can see how it doesn't line up.
Yeah,
it doesn't quite line up with the chrome strip.
Yeah, so it didn't have the spear on this. So we're actually going to drill the holes, put the spear on this, and then we're going to put the little, I guess these are scallops. I'm not quite sure what they call those. The trim, we're going to put those back in, and then all the side trim will go back on it. The glass, I still got to get the glass out of it to finish taking the stainless off from around here. I got this piece off the passenger side, learning all this stuff as I go. The drip rail trim holds this piece on.
Yeah, this thing, I mean, what were those designers thinking? This thing has way more trim.
Tons of trim.
Than a 537.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And then I think this piece is held in with the gasket and this stainless.
And that's all stainless, right?
Yeah, it's all stainless. The only thing that's chrome is the surrounds around the windows, and then this, of course, the vent window frame. The rest is all stainless. This is I believe it's stainless, but it's just
or maybe aluminum.
It's an inset.
Yeah.
Actually, it might be aluminum. I'm not sure. And then this piece is stainless. So it's kind of fun taking a car apart like this that you've never done. So this piece comes off with two little nuts on the inside. You pull that off, and then there's a piece right here that screws in that holds this. And then once that's off, there's a couple screws in here, and then that slides forward and comes out. So it's kind of fun learning all the quirks. But
And all that's, I mean, there's a few dings and the stuff on the table here, but a lot of that's in really good shape.
Everything except for where the car was hit right here, is in really good shape. And I don't think it's going to take much to bring it back to life. The car was hit, I guess, at one point in this quarter panel, and they sectioned it, I think, around right here.
Okay.
So this is changed on the car, so the emblem hole or the molding holes will have to get re-drilled in the car, and then we're going to keep the Bel Air scripts on the quarters, so those holes will have to get drilled. The bumpers are going to go out and get chromed. Last we talked, that was the plan. Just haven't figured out where to take them yet. Scott Fink out there at Salem Powder Coat has a guy that comes by and picks up bumpers, so we might do them.
Just a little bit of side trivia. Sylvester Stallone's favorite car, 58 Chevy.
I didn't know that.
Yep, he talks about it, actually talks about it in the movie Rambo, and that is his favorite car, 58 Chevy.
Wow,
so there you go.
Cool. Right on.
You never know what you're going to get here on D. Loney V8 Motorsports.
Yep, Trivia Sunday.
That's right.
So we're going to keep this stuff on the trunk. The inside of the trunk's actually in really, really good shape. That'll just be a nice touch up, and throw some. I don't know if he wants to throw trunk paint in there or paint it body color or put a mat in it. So that's pretty straightforward there.
Quite a bit different design on the. They put the spare tire all the way off to the side. Oh, cool.
Fuel door right
Did not know that.
Yeah,
nice.
I didn't know it either until I saw that, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. They kind of made it match on the other side.
Yeah.
So
gotta give the Chevy designers credit for that. They hid the gas caps really well.
Yeah. This side of the car is in really, really good shape. There's some checking right here, so I don't know, there might be a little bit of body work right there. I'm not sure. Got most of the trim off. I still got to get the clips off here so I can get this inset off the car and then do the door. I pull the glass out of it, side glass as well. And then we're going to go to 15-inch wheels. I think Jim wants flipper hubcaps on it.
Cool.
So we're going to go to disc brakes on the front. That's why we're going to switch to 15s. I mean, we got to change tires anyway. So this is kind of interesting. Joey and I were laughing about this. It's got dual valve stems. And he's like, I think it's got an inner liner in it like my car. So we were kind of joking about that the other day. So that was kind of funny.
That's Cherie Severance, top alcohol champion. Top alcohol dragster champion. So yeah, inner liner. I don't think so, Joey.
So, I'm curious. I got to see that tire off that wheel. See what's going on there.
I think the tube didn't line up, so they just drilled a hole.
Yeah, maybe. And then here's the pile of trim that came with it. Most of it's in pretty good shape. This stuff, probably need to be re-chromed at some point. And then the grill surrounds and stuff like that. But the interior was all intact.
So we were talking about this earlier. A lot of these parts, like those lights, are 1 year only.
1 year only, and so far I have not seen those housings offered in aftermarket. I saw some NOS stuff on eBay, and they're pretty proud of it, as you can imagine. So
yeah,
I'm not quite sure the direction to go on those. Probably get them re-chromed.
And you said the Bel Air is different than the Del Rey and different than the Impala, right?
I'm still learning, so if I screw the facts up on this, please forgive me. But
please comment.
The Del Rey and the Biscayne, I believe, were sedans, and I think the Bel Air was a hardtop. I don't know if you could get a Bel Air in a sedan or not. Somebody might be able to correct me on that. And then the Impala is completely different from what Larry told me. Like this back window is super short, and it's it's only like that long right here, and it's got like a big cast.
I've seen those.
Like a pot metal piece. I'm not sure what it's made of. That sits on the back of the window there. Way different design. I've heard the doors are different. Something to do with the door lock and I don't know, the angle of the top of the door. I'm not exactly.
Well, I mean, that roof trim you talking about, American Graffiti, right?
Right,
white.
Yeah,
it was in that.
The Toad.
Yeah, Toad's car.
And then of course, the Impala backseat has the speaker in it. I saw one the other day had a flip down thing. I don't know if that's original or not. So just from the research I did online, the interior was actually, the door panels are kind of cool. They're still in there, still intact. And then the dash is all intact. It's got some blue plates in there. They're a little bit newer than what would have came on the car in 58, what they would have been put on in Oregon, but not sure if this car came from Oregon or not. I know this car did come from a gentleman by the name of Bill Prince that used to race out at Woodburn. He had a blue 58, and I was told that it had a 502 in it, and he also had this car, and that's where Jim bought this car, was from Bill Prince. So, and I believe it was like 30 years ago. So
wow.
But yeah, it'll be fun. So talking earlier about the direction that the car is going to go, I'm actually not painting the car. This car is going to get shipped up to Renee Crudell at RC Collision, I believe is the name of his business. So he's gonna take on the paint and body work on this car, and kind of a cool little connection. Honestly, I showed pictures of my uncle's 55 from the movie Top Gun. I showed Jim some pictures of that car, and he fell in love with the color. So this car is going to get painted the same color as the Top Gun 55, which is maple
fire
autumn
mist.
Fire mist.
Fire mist. Yeah.
I figured I was going to butcher that, but so yeah, so Renee's going to paint it, and then while it's gone, I'll take care of making sure Cherie and Joey are getting the parts coming for the car. I've actually pulled the engine out of the car. The engine compartment's in really good shape.
Boy, it is. Look at that.
Yeah.
Original paint on the firewall and stuff.
I think it was touched up at one time.
Oh, okay.
But nothing's hacked up. About the only thing they really cut. So this car was an automatic, and somebody was converted to a 4-speed or a 3-speed, excuse me. And they took a torch and cut a little section out of the inner fender there, so they could weld the Z-bar bracket to the frame. But there was a bunch of stuff missing. The linkage was missing, all that stuff. So I actually talked to Jim, and we decided we're going to put a turbo 350 in it. So, but he wants a floor shifter, so he wants to be able to shift it. So
nice.
We're going to put a floor shifter in it for him. And so, like I said, this car had a 348 in it, and it's actually sitting on the stand right here. And this engine is going to Guy Mitchell and Roy. What's Roy's last name?
Roy Paola.
Paola.
Yep.
Okay, I guess that would make sense. So it's going to go to Paola's, and they're going to do a complete overhaul on it. I'm going to take it to them, and they're going to strip it down. They're going to inspect everything, order what it needs, pistons, all that good stuff, cam. I did talk to him about maybe doing a roller cam if they offer it, a hydraulic roller. I'm not sure if they offer them for 348s or not, but he said, yeah, he'll fix it up, he'll paint it, he'll get it all ready to go, it'll be ready to set in the car and fire it. So pretty cool to be able to have those guys that, Guy Mitchell, he's pretty much a guru on anything. So
yep.
He'll be able to do his magic on it and get it taken care of. So it'll be fun. I've never actually really worked with Guy on an engine before, so it'll be kind of fun to build a relationship with him on that standpoint. Of course, I know him through Brett and Dave at the Drag Strip, but yeah, so that'd be cool. And then I don't know what we're gonna do the direction as far as like valve covers. These will be re-chromed, or try to source fin aluminum ones. I don't know what they want to do. I guess it all depends on what Jim wants. So
yeah,
but
and they call these W.
Yes.
The W motors.
Yeah. So
I assume it's because the.
So
maybe,
yeah,
maybe if you look at it that way.
This is kind of the precursor to the big block Chevy. And one thing I learned a while back, about the only thing I ever knew about these is, so driver's side dipstick is 348, passenger side dipstick is 409. Okay. So that's about all I ever knew about them.
Well, and when you look at the angle of the decks.
So
yeah,
so actually different. It's really interesting when you pull the head off of these, the bore is actually higher than the piston on the outside edge. So the piston is at this angle, and then the bore comes up, so your head is really flat on the bottom. So your combustion chamber is basically in the cylinder
inside,
not in the head.
Yeah.
It's a really crazy design. I know that you can take like 409s and put 44 cranks in them. People do all crazy kinds of stuff like that, and put make them big cubic inch engines. So they're kind of cool. So yeah, I don't know. There's a couple guys that run it. Paul Carbaugh has a 409 in his car. So I'm sure I'll be picking his brain a little bit. But
nice.
Yeah, neat stuff. And then so my little stainless pile, just kind of gathering it all up for Dave Bradley. He's actually going to tackle this for me. I talked to him, and after the first year, I'm going to haul everything up to him, and he's going to spend a few months straightening everything. And polishing all out, there's a lot of stainless on this car. I mean, just, you know, that's the side piece that came off the passenger side. And, like, this piece comes out, this is inside the car, above the windows at the headliner, and yeah, it's just, these spears are kind of cool. You know, it's like it's almost like some of the theme on the car is almost aviation related, it seems like, you know, the way that, you know, that's what that kind of looks like.
Sure.
And the little trim pieces that go on the side of the car in front of the front bumper.
Yeah, that kind of work, I mean, that buffing that stuff is, you got to be really meticulous and careful. You know, it can become a weapon.
Yeah, and between myself and Dave here, you know, we've had Dave Bradley do some work for us, and he does really nice work. So comes out really nice. And I took him a couple pieces that had some pretty good dents in them, and they look pretty nice when they were done. So,
yeah. Yep.
Sure makes a difference when you get that all polished out against that new paint.
Yeah, I mean, especially on a car like this with so much trim.
Yeah.
So it's going to look good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for the tour, George. And we will be back. I don't know when we'll do an update on this again, but we'll be back after probably paint. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
See how fast it goes.
The car's supposed to leave right after Christmas to go to Renee. So, you know, we'll probably, I don't know if we'll get an update between then and before it's painted or after it's painted or what. We'll have to see how it goes. I mean, I personally don't know Renee. I talked to him on the phone the other day, so I don't know what his schedule's like. If he's you know, busy during the day type of guy, you know, or maybe he can spare a night. We can run up there and do a quick video with him or something.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah. Safe to say you're going to get it blown apart here quickly.
Yeah, so by the end of the week, next weekend, it'll be ready to go to Renee.
Nice.
Before Joey gets back. So, yeah. A couple other things I was going to mention too. So, besides the automatic conversion, we're going to go to a regular power steering conversion. We're going to do disc brakes on the front. The front brakes were completely locked up. It was a chore to get it in the shop, actually. So,
oh yeah.
Had to blow the brakes apart to get it to move. So, it's got 336 gears, I believe. 331 or 336. I looked them up this morning. Not a posi.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll have to work on that.
Right.
There's no P on that case. So,
right.
But
that's still good enough for a turbo 350 if the tires aren't too tall.
I don't know. I've never seen Jim's driving habits.
Right.
You might need a posi.
Yeah. Go easy on it, Jim.
But yeah, we'll get it fixed up for him. It'll be fun. So.
Yeah. Cool. All right. We'll be back with an update on this one later. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, we are here in Maui, Hawaii. Lahaina. So when we're in Hawaii, Jimmy is not racetrack Jim, he's Maui Jim. So we are going to talk about his car that we're having George Burns restore for him. So Jimmy, what is the car and where did you get it from?
I bought that car from Bill Prince probably 10, 15 years ago, put it in my shop to work on when I retired. But by the time I got retired, I couldn't work on anything. So we're having George Burns do the restoration on it. He's heading things up. And
along with your sidekick?
Oh, yeah, Cherie and Joey are doing most of the legwork for me.
No, you're doing it with us. We're gonna every day George messages
you
us.
guys are in charge of it, though.
Yeah.
There are a couple of simple things I wanted. The color was in 1958. I ordered a brand new 1958 Chevy, and it was delivered. I ordered it when I was 17, a brand new car. On my 18th birthday, it showed up at Madras. It came in by train. My roommate, Bobby Runge, did the undercoating of it that day, brought it to me at noon, and we took it out on the Prineville Highway for a test run.
Now, how did you save the money for that car? Because you were a hard worker as a young kid, and what did you do to save your money to be able to buy
I
the
didn't
car?
save very much money. I had car payments my car payments were $80.88 a month. And
So where did you work back
I worked
then?
in a grocery store.
Yeah.
I worked there 6 days a week and made things work. I've always been a saver, always. To this day, well, not this day, I'm spending it now.
And you should be. You worked hard, you should be.
And my wife is spending it.
That's why you work hard, to live the golden years the
Yep,
best.
yep, live the golden years.
Where did you go?
I went to Half Moon Bay.
And you were in the service where?
I was in Fort Ord. And anyway,
Don Garlic.
Bobby Haynes was racing Don Garlitz, and Bobby Haynes drove for the Champions Speed Shop at that time. And anyway, he raced against Don Garlitz, and if I remember right, the speed was about 180 miles an hour for top speed for a top fuel car. Oh yeah. But anyway, Bobby Haynes run off the end of the track there, and I got to know Bobby Haynes because he had raced at Madras, and I don't remember what car he raced, whether it was a Champion Speed Shop or if he had driven one of the cars out of Portland. But Bobby Haynes, the driver, raced at Madras, and then I can't remember which place I met him for first. But it was quite a trip to see Don Garlitz. George Burns said that he used to work for Clarence Everett when he was in high school. Well, Clarence Everett was the Northwest Timing Association, a club member, and they made him track manager the year that I bought the track. And unfortunately, they had some inclement weather and they made some bad choices. And that's when they called me up to see, I heard about the track was going to be for sale at the club meeting on Monday night. And I was racing my B dragster, the one that I had the overhead cam Ford in it, in Portland that day. And Bob Beal said, "Jim, are you going to put a bid in on the track?" And I said, "I didn't know it was going to be for sale again." They said, "Yes, Monday night." So I sent my cousin Kenny Van Cleve to the club meeting, and I went home and had a week's vacation, was putting a race on in the Dalles that next weekend. I had rented the airport and took all my portable equipment from Madras and went to the Dalles and got that track ready to go. Had a race the next Saturday, and on Tuesday, I guess it would have been, Kenny called me and says, "Hey, you just bought the Woodburn drag strip." I says, "Far out. And I need to have $1,000 in escrow." So I got my bank to send him $1,000, and then I went down there the next Monday or Tuesday to give them a cashier's check for their share of the money. The bad thing was they said it was supposed to be a cash deal. Well, I had enough cash for the Northwest Timing Association, but I was a little short for the other half, which was the Multnomah Hot Rod Council owned the other half of it. Well, I went to them, and they loaned me the other half of the money with my signature only. So
On your word, basically.
Yep.
Yep.
So that was good.
He's a good businessman.
And then I went to the attorney in Salem, which happened to be a classmate of mine from Madras. And he had went to school in Willamette and started his business in Salem. So everything just
Fell together.
fell together,
Yep.
and I was the owner. I put a race on there 1 week later, and I booked in Kenny Cadell and Ernie Hall, 2 top fuel cars, and I spent $500 on radio advertisement.
Now, did you do all that then as well? Were you the voice of the radio?
I
back
didn't
then
do the
too?
voice, but I
Nothing?
wrote the ad copy.
All the stuff,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. And I wrote the ad copy from the very get-go
Yeah.
with the help of a couple of the disc jockeys.
But when you did the TV, you were the voice of all the TV
I did all the
commercials?
voice for the TV,
Yeah.
yep. The radio stations, you had to go to each individual station, and I just didn't have the time for that.
Yeah.
The TV station, I could cut the spot and send out the cassette player to each TV. And I only used 2 or 3 TV stations in those days. The one in Eugene where I cut the spots, and of course then they would have a copy of it. And then I think it was Channel 12 and Channel 2 was the other 2 in Portland that I used. Well, I shouldn't say that because yeah, I should. KGW, I did the radio on it. So anyway, pretty fun years. I have 3 '58 Chevys, a Del Rey, a Biscayne, and a Bel Air. I had bought the brand new Bel Air in 1958, so when I found the Bel Air, I thought, and it was more of a basket case. The Del Rey and the Biscayne were both drivers when I parked them in the shop 10 plus years ago. And one of them I bought from Bob White from Graffiti Alley. He'd been to the auction or the car swap meet in Portland and didn't sell it. Stopped by my house and I said, sure, I'll buy it. And it was a driver. And I have since then give that to my youngest granddaughter, the 13-year-old Kinsley Severance. And her dad is starting to help me work on it a little bit, but it was a driver, and it was all
Original?
original.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cherie. And so anyway, she's gonna take that one, and the other one is the blue one goes to Lexi Smith. So, and once we go through it, make sure the brakes and everything are good, those 2 will be out of my garage. What's that?
Yeah, Lexi, your other granddaughter.
Both of them are my
Yeah.
granddaughter.
Yeah.
Yep. So anyway, that's and then the Bel Air will be restored back to the color that I ended up painting my '58 back in the early years.
Tell them how you got your seats done back then.
Also, I drove my '58 to the Winter Nationals one year. Always try to get somebody to go with me I went to the Winter Nationals just about every year. And along about early 60s, 62, 64, I drove it to Tijuana. And this is after I'd been in the reserves, and the guys told me which shop to go to in Tijuana. So I went there and parked there on the American side, walked across, went to their upholstery shop, made the deal. 8 o'clock the next morning I was at their shop, and they worked on it for 9 hours, completely did a rolled and pleated, tucked, tonneau cover, headliner, the trunk, the floor mats, everything in 9 hours.
And how much did they charge you for that?
$124, and then wrote me a phony slip so that it was like $109, and that way I wouldn't have to pay the taxes on it when I go across the border. So it was quite an experience. And to put foam in the front seat, I sat there and watched them for 9 hours, except for when I went to lunch down the street, and I didn't drink the water.
Yeah, they worked hard. There was 2 ladies, right, that did it?
Oh, there was 2 ladies that were sewing.
Yeah.
And then there was one guy that he kind of headed it up, and there just the door would open and somebody'd walk in and they'd take the seats out, and another one would come and put the upholstery on it, and a couple more would jump on the headliner when it was ready. And
That's
I don't know
crazy.
how many people worked on it, but they just kind of wandered in and wandered off.
Then you got it all done and then headed to Pomona?
And no, I'd been to Pomona
Oh, you were coming
already.
back.
This
Okay.
was after Pomona, so it was probably Monday after the Winter Nationals.
Uh-huh.
But I went to the Winter Nationals just about every year and would drive down from Madras. And sometimes I'd sleep in my cars, and sometimes I'd get a motel. And I remember one time I was at one of the bars. The race had rained out, and I sat next to the bar was a new baseball player. His name was Kurt Flood, and he was the big-time baseball player. And he sat there at him and I and the bartender, we sat and drank beer at most of the afternoon. But anyway, he was a famous. I wish I'd got his autograph.
Then, yeah.
Yeah.